Brian Winters was the best pure shooter in history and had the most beautiful stroke of all the people of whom I can think of. And those words were not mine, but those of Michael Jordan, who held Winters in a high regard as his jump shot was textbook and fell at a high rate. Brian Winters, besides being an excellent shooter, was known for his high IQ, and the combo of the two of his shot and smarts made him a lethal scorer in the NBA, in particular for the Bucks after he was traded there being a part of the Kareem Abdul Jabbar trade. For the Bucks, Winters became a two-time All-Star and led them in scoring on the regular, helping the team make multiple postseason trips, getting his jersey retired in the end, going down as one of the best shooters of his era. This is a look back on Brian Winters' career. Brian Winters was born and raised in Rockaway, New York, excelling at the game of basketball from an early age, always being around it, going on to attend high school basketball powerhouse Archbishop Malloy High School in Queens, New York, where he played his ball with several other Division I level players, getting recruited himself, ultimately deciding to attend South Carolina, following in the footsteps of his high school teammate Kevin Joyce. However, following Joyce did not mean much of a chance to shine until Winters' senior season once Joyce was gone, on top of the fact that Brian Winters battled knee injuries and mononucleosis early on. Brian Winters' senior season thrived, being the Gamecocks' leading scorer at 20 points per game, shooting 51.3% from the floor, which was all the more impressive as his teammates were Alex English and Mike Dunleavy. Winters helped South Carolina go 22-5, getting them into the NCAA tournament, where they'd be bounced round 1 to Furman, as Brian Winters ended his college career with a 22-point performance. Entering the NBA draft, Winters was a first-round prospect as teams liked his level-headedness, high IQ, and pure jump shot. In the 1974 NBA draft with the 12th overall pick, Brian Winters was selected by the Los Angeles Lakers. Winters was joining a new-look Lakers team that had just saw Jerry West retire. The Lakers were now to be led by Gail Goodrich, Elmore Smith, Happy Hairston, and Lucius Allen after a trade early into the season. Brian Winters' role was to be the backup shooting guard off the bench to Goodrich, where Winters played well, providing offense for the team, averaging 11.7 points and 2.9 assists, helping him make all-rookie first team. All the while, the Lakers were struggling after West retired, going 30-52, missing the playoffs. In the offseason, an opportunity arose for the Lakers to bring on a superstar in Kareem Abdul Jabbar as he demanded a trade to the West Coast. So the Lakers capitalized on the opportunity, trading away its young assets, which included Brian Winters. Trading Winters with Junior Bridgman, Dave Myers, and Elmore Smith to the Milwaukee Bucks for Kareem Abdul Jabbar and Walt Wesley. Winters found himself on a Bucks team led by Bob Dandridge, highlighted by several of the players involved in the trade, and Elmore Smith and Junior Bridgman. The move to Milwaukee for Brian Winters brought on a bigger opportunity, becoming a starter, which he capitalized on, becoming the team's second leading scorer and facilitator at 18.2 points and 4.7 assists. Brian Winters made the NBA All-Star team as he was keeping the Bucks competitive after losing Kareem, and to the surprise of most, the Bucks had gone 38-44, making the playoffs a 5 seed. Round 1 of the playoffs, the Bucks met the Detroit Pistons, headed by Bob Lanier and Curtis Rowe. The Bucks would jump out to a 1-0 lead in the series as Gary Brokaw played the best game of his career, Game 1. Game 2, the Bucks were hot from the floor behind Winters' 31-point performance, but they would drop the game by 3 points despite shooting significantly better than the Pistons did, as the Pistons corralled more offensive rebounds and forced turnovers, winning them the game. Game 3, the Bucks and Pistons were in another close one as Brian Winters put up a game-high 33 points, helping the Bucks maintain the lead by 1 point with 21 seconds left while having possession, before Chris Ford's stolen inbound pass going down the floor, hitting a layup uncontested, giving the Pistons the victory and the series. Brian Winters, in his first playoff experience, led the Bucks in scoring at 27.3 points while shooting a postseason best 62.9% from the floor and handed out 5 assists per game. In the offseason, the Bucks signed Sven Nader from the ABA to be the team's new big man, making Elmore Smith expendable, so the team traded him away early into the year. Meanwhile, Winters' role remained the same, as he averaged 19.3 points and 4.3 assists, and ended up scoring a career high this season in 43 points in a game. However, personal success, the Bucks could not capture the same success they had the prior year, going 30-52, missing the playoffs. In the offseason after missing the playoffs, Bob Dandridge left as a free agent, and the Bucks shook things up, trading away Sven Nader for the 3rd overall pick in the draft that became Marquez Johnson. After the postseason moves, Brian Winters became the Bucks' leading scorer next season at 19.9 points to go with 4.9 assists per game, becoming an all-star for the second time, and he had a career-high 18 assists in a game this season, as the Bucks were playing well with Johnson stepping in making an instant impact as a rookie, alongside Winters helping the Bucks go 44-38, making the playoffs a 6th seed. Round 1, the Bucks faced the Phoenix Suns with Walter Davis, Paul Westphal, and Alvin Adams. The Milwaukee Bucks took Game 1 of the series as Winters had a game-high 31 points, and the team rode the momentum from the victory into Game 2, winning that as well and henceforth the series. Getting the Bucks into Round 2, creating a matchup against the Denver Nuggets led by the duo of David Thompson and Dan Issel. The Bucks quickly fell behind in the series 3-1 as Thompson was punishing them throughout, before Johnson and Winters sparked a comeback, winning the next 2 games, tying up the series, forcing a Game 7. In Game 7, Brian Winters kept the Bucks around as he was playing great, having 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. Yet his efforts down the stretch were not enough to match David Thompson's play as he sent the Bucks home packing. Over the postseason, Brian Winters was a large part of the Bucks' success, averaging 20.4 points and 6.4 assists. Next season, Marquez Johnson became the go-to guy on the team, with Winters backing him up, averaging 19.8 points and 4.8 assists. The Bucks, however, took a step back this season, going 38-44, missing the playoffs. With the poor season brought a high draft pick, and the Bucks selected well, taking Sidney Moncrief in the draft. Brian Winters, the up-and-coming year, kept sliding down on the pecking order to the team's third option as Bridgman was stepping up his play. Winters still averaged 16.2 points and 4.5 assists for a Bucks team that bounced back and was playing well, so they decided to trade for Bob Lanier in hopes of making a playoff run, helping them finish the year at 49-33, making the playoffs as the 2 seed. Round 1, the Bucks got a series against the Seattle Supersonics, who had Dennis Johnson, Gus Williams, and Jack Sigma. The Sonics took Game 1 before the Bucks tied it back up as Winters had a game-high 28 points. Afterwards, the Bucks won 2 of the next 3 games as the move for Bob Lanier was paying off as he was playing well. Game 6, the Bucks needed one more win to advance, playing at home, which most thought they would win the series then, but they quickly found themselves in a hard-fought contest and would crumble down the stretch, losing it at the end on a Fred Brown jump shot. In Game 7, Gus Williams got hot like he was most of the series, winning the Sonics the game by 4 points, ending the Bucks' season. Brian Winters had a solid postseason similar to that of the regular season, averaging 15.9 points and 5.3 assists. Next season, Brian Winters would be pushed to coming off the bench, being replaced in the starting lineup by Sidney Moncrief. Winters came off the bench to average 11.6 points and 3.3 assists. The move sending Winters to the bench in favor of Moncrief was paying off, seeing the Bucks go 60-22, making the playoffs as a 2 seed, finding themselves getting a matchup with the Philadelphia 76ers led by Julius Erving, Maurice Cheeks, Bobby Jones, Andrew Toney, and Daryl Dawkins. With both teams having lots of talent, the series would inevitably go to Game 7 as Irving and Johnson were going back and forth throughout the entire series. Game 7 continued the back and forth trend in a hard-fought game that, again, no surprise, saw Johnson and Irving remain hot, before the 76ers pulled away at the end on a free throw from Caldwell Jones, winning them the game by 1 point and the series. Brian Winters against the 76ers was the Bucks' 6th man, averaging 10 points and 3.1 assists. Next season, Bridgman battled injuries for the Bucks, creating an opportunity for Winters to be a larger part of the offense again. Brian Winters would go on to average 15.9 points and 4.1 assists, keeping the Bucks near the top of the East, going 55-27, entering the playoffs the 2 seed again to play the 76ers again. The Bucks quickly found themselves down 2-0 in the series as Toney was improving as the sidekick to Irving, before the Bucks pulled one back late Game 3 on a game winner from Moncrief. Game 4 was like the early parts of the series, seeing the 76ers in control from start to finish. The following game, the Bucks staved off elimination as Winters put together his best game of the series with 23 points and 7 assists. However, any comeback attempt would be thwarted Game 6 as Cheeks got hot from the floor, seeing the Bucks knocked out again by the 76ers. Brian Winters against the 76ers elevated his play from the regular season to average 16.8 points and 4.7 assists while shooting a postseason best 50% from 3. Entering next season, Winters hoped to duplicate last season's success as he had found a larger role with Bridgman's injury. But he himself would deal with injuries this time and age catching up to him, going for 57 games to average career lows and 10.6 points and 2.7 assists off the bench. For a Bucks team that was playoff bound again as the 2 seed, going 51-31. Round 1, the Bucks faced the Boston Celtics, who had Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, and Cedric Maxwell. Most entering the series anticipated to be a close one throughout. However, the Bucks stunned the Celtics altogether behind Moncrief and Johnson, sweeping them out of the playoffs, getting into round 2 to face none other than the Philadelphia 76ers, and they were much improved this time, having added Moses Malone. Seeing the Bucks struggle, as did everyone this postseason against Philadelphia, losing 4-1, being the only team to beat the 76ers in a game throughout the entire postseason. Brian Winters, over the run to the Eastern Conference Finals, averaged a modest 9.9 points and 3.6 assists. After seeing his own decline the past season, Brian Winters decided to retire, ending his 9-year career averaging 16.2 points and 4.1 assists. Not long into retirement, the Bucks retired Brian Winters number 32 for his contributions to the team. In retirement, Brian Winters stuck around the game of basketball, becoming a coach as an assistant coach for multiple NBA teams, and would get 2 head coaching stints with the Grizzlies and the Warriors. Brian Winters' basketball career will be most remembered for being a pure shooter and a Bucks fan favorite, coming in to start a new era for Milwaukee basketball upon Kareem's departure, keeping the Bucks playoff bound as he was hooping on the regular, leading the team in scoring thanks to his shot and high IQ, earning Winters 2 All-Star appearances along the way. Michael Jordan summed up Brian Winters' career best as a pure shooter. Thanks for watching this video on Brian Winters' career. If you want to see any other videos about any other random players in the future, leave them in the comments below, and I may or may not decide to do them. Who knows? Thanks again for watching. This has been Skid Denver.